The human screamed in primal pain and rage as the Ventaxian conqueror's hands closed around his throat, not knowing those hands would soon be torn off and shoved down the alien's own throat. Their technology is primitive. Their numbers are few. Conquering them will be swift, Dr. Zorax proclaimed with smug certainty, reviewing the initial scans of the remote human colony on Gamma 6. He leaned back in his hover chair, thin lips curled into a sneer. Dr. Zandri shifted uneasily, her compound eyes reflecting the holographic display. The humans have proven unpredictable in past encounters. We should advise caution. Caution? Zorax scoffed. I will not cower before hairless apes. Captain Belos will subdue them and seize their meager resources. He gestured dismissively at the recorded confrontation unfolding before them. On the flickering holofeed, Belos loomed over the human commander, flanked by a phalanx of armored Ventaxian soldiers. Surrender your assets to the Ventaxian Empire, the captain demanded, or face annihilation. Commander Brown met the alien's gaze unflinchingly, his voice low and steady. This colony is under Terran Expeditionary Force protection. Stand down or we will use lethal force. Belos threw his head back, mandibles clacking in harsh laughter. You dare threaten us, human? You have no conception of our might. He signaled his troops. Seize them. In a flash, the humans drew advanced plasma rifles and opened fire. Flaring energy shields and chitinous armor exploded. Ventaxian soldiers crumpled. Belos crashed to the dirt, stunned, as Commander Brown pressed a plasma rifle to his skull plate. Dr. Zorax stared at the feed, disbelieving, as the human soldiers advanced on the remaining invaders, with ruthless efficiency. Gamma 6's twin moons glinted off their bared teeth. If the humans repelled the landing party, if they captured Belos, the repercussions for the Empire would be catastrophic. The primitives would have a bargaining chip, negotiating power. We should have listened, Dr. Zandri whispered. Never underestimate them, never make a human mad. Zorax slammed a fist on the console, eyes narrowing. This could not stand. Belos must be recovered. The human resistance must be crushed swiftly and without mercy before the Empire appeared weak. Before their entire invasion was put at risk by a handful of rabid apes who didn't know their place. Dr. Zandri's compound eyes widened in fascination as the confrontation unfolded. She turned to Dr. Zorax, her antennae twitching with curiosity. What happened after the humans subdued Captain Belos and his soldiers? Zorax's mandibles clicked in annoyance as he recounted the aftermath. Commander Brown, in a display of infuriating mercy, chose not to execute or imprison the incapacitated Ventaxians. Instead, he provided medical assistance to the wounded and allowed Belos to contact the VES Nebula. Brown offered to release the Ventaxians in exchange for a meeting with the ship's senior officers to discuss a peaceful resolution. Zorax's antenna twitched in irritation. Belos, humiliated and furious, had no choice but to agree. Intriguing. Did the meeting take place? Yes, 3 days later, a delegation of 5 Ventaxian officers, led by Admiral Zelos, arrived at the colony. Commander Brown greeted them alongside his senior staff, including Chief Engineer David Wilson and Chief Medical Officer Dr. Marcus Lee. Zandri leaned forward. How did the meeting unfold? Zorax's eyes narrowed. Admiral Zelos demanded an explanation for the attack on his men. Commander Brown calmly presented video evidence of Belos's aggression and the Ventaxians' attempt to open fire first. He emphasized that while the humans were willing to defend themselves, they had no interest in escalating the conflict further. A wise approach. How did Admiral Zelos react? Though skeptical, he was impressed by Brown's restraint and willingness to negotiate. As a show of good faith, Brown offered to share some of the colony's medical technology with the Ventaxians. Zandri's antennae perked up. Medical technology? What kind of advancements did they possess? Zorax begrudgingly admitted. Dr. Lee provided a detailed explanation of their technology, demonstrating the humans' advanced understanding of biology and disease treatment. The Ventaxians were astounded by their scientific prowess. Fascinating. Did this lead to any agreements between the two parties? Admiral Zelos, recognizing the potential benefits of a peaceful relationship with the humans, agreed to establish formal diplomatic ties between the Ventaxian Confederation and the TEF. Commander Brown and Admiral Zelos signed a treaty outlining the terms of their cooperation, including the sharing of knowledge and resources. Zandri nodded thoughtfully, a positive outcome considering the initial hostilities. Zorax's mandibles twitched. As the Ventaxian delegation prepared to depart, Admiral Zelos privately warned Commander Brown that not all Ventaxians would be as open-minded as he was, and that some might seek to exploit or undermine the humans in the future. He acknowledged the warning and assured Zelos that the humans would remain vigilant in protecting their interests. Zandri leaned back, her compound eyes reflecting the holographic display. This incident marks the beginning of a new era of human-Ventaxian relations, one that will undoubtedly be tested by the challenges that lay ahead. Zorax's eyes narrowed, his thoughts turning to the future. The humans had proven themselves to be more formidable than he had initially believed. Their technology, their resolve, and their capacity for both compassion and ruthlessness made them a force to be reckoned with. As the Ventaxian Confederation and the Terran Expeditionary Force embarked on this new path of cooperation, he couldn't help but wonder what other surprises the humans had in store. Dr. Zorax paused, his eyes glinting with a mix of begrudging respect and unease. The incident with the Krelath pirates was a turning point in our perception of the humans, he said, his voice low. Their ability to handle such a delicate situation with such efficiency and skill was impressive, to say the least. Dr. Zandri nodded, her antennae twitching thoughtfully. Indeed, I remember when the news of the VMS Prosperity's capture reached us. The High Council was in a state of panic, unsure of how to proceed without risking the lives of the hostages. And then the humans stepped in, Zorax continued, his mandibles clicking. Captain Brown and his team of operatives, they made it look easy. The way they infiltrated the ship undetected, using their advanced stealth technology, it was like something out of a holovid. Zandri leaned forward, her compound eyes wide with interest. I heard they took down the Krelath guards without even killing them. Is that true? Zorax nodded. Yes, they used non-lethal weapons, stun grenades and immobilizing foam, I believe. It was a clever tactic, minimizing the risk of harm to the hostages while still neutralizing the threat. And what of the pirate leader, Krax? I heard he was a formidable opponent. A flicker of amusement crossed Zorax's face. Formidable, perhaps, but no match for Captain Brown. The human engaged him in hand-to-hand combat, and despite Krax's size and strength, Brown managed to subdue him with a series of precise strikes. It was impressive to watch. Zandri's antennae quivered with excitement, and then they disabled the Krelath ship entirely, didn't they? Using hacking and sabotage. Yes, they rendered it dead in space, unable to flee or retaliate. It was a masterful operation from start to finish. Captain Zarin must have been overjoyed to be rescued, Zandri mused. Zorax's mandibles twitched. He was. He personally thanked Captain Brown and his team, expressing his gratitude and admiration for their bravery and skill. And do you know what Brown said in response? Zandri shook her head, leaning in closer. He said it was the duty of any ally to help those in need, as if risking his life and the lives of his crew to save a group of strangers was simply part of the job. Zandri sat back, her compound eyes reflecting the soft light of the lab. The humans, they continue to surprise us, don't they? Zorax nodded, his expression pensive. They do. Their ingenuity, their resourcefulness, it's unlike anything we've encountered before. And this incident with the Krelath, it's just one example of how their intervention has helped to stabilize the region and protect our interests. It makes you wonder, Zandri said softly, what other surprises they have in store for us. Zorax gazed at Zandri, his eyes glinting with admiration. The humans' technological achievements are truly remarkable. Their ability to adapt and innovate in the face of adversity is unparalleled. Zandri nodded, her antennae quivering with curiosity. "Tell me more, Zorax. What other marvels have they accomplished?" Leaning back in his chair, Zorax began to recount another incident. Just 6 months after the rescue of the VMS Prosperity, the Terran Expeditionary Force and our own scientists established a joint research station on Theta 9, a remote moon known for its unique geological properties. The Theta 9 Collaborative Research Facility was a testament to our growing partnership, a place where our brightest minds could work together to unlock new mining techniques and advance our understanding of the universe. "Who were the key players in this endeavor?" Zandri asked, her compound eyes wide with interest. The head researcher was a brilliant human scientist named Dr. Isaac Nakamura. He worked closely with his Ventaxian counterpart, Dr. Zolan, to oversee the facility's operations. Together, they made remarkable strides in their research. Zandri tilted her head. "But something went wrong, didn't it?" Zorax nodded grimly. Indeed, one day during a routine experiment, a catastrophic equipment failure triggered a massive explosion. The blast tore through the facility, trapping several researchers, including Nakamura and Zolan, beneath the rubble. "How did they manage to survive such a disaster?" Zandri asked, her voice tinged with concern. Captain Brown, who was visiting the station at the time, wasted no time in organizing a rescue operation. However, the station's remote location and the extent of the damage posed significant challenges. Conventional rescue equipment would have taken too long to reach the trapped researchers. Captain Brown turned to the station's chief engineer, a human named Jack O'Neill. Known for his unorthodox thinking and improvisation skills, O'Neill quickly devised a plan to modify the station's mining drones to assist in the rescue. "Mining drones, how ingenious!" Zandri exclaimed. Zorax's mandibles clicked in agreement. Indeed, O'Neill and his Ventaxian colleagues worked tirelessly to reprogram the drones, transforming them into delicate excavation tools capable of navigating the rubble and locating the trapped researchers. "And it worked?" Zandri asked, her voice filled with hope. Guided by O'Neill's instructions and Brown's leadership, the rescue team managed to reach Dr. Nakamura, Dr. Zolan, and the other survivors within hours. Despite their injuries and oxygen deprivation, all of the researchers were safely extracted from the debris. Zandri's antennae quivered with admiration. "That's incredible. The humans' quick thinking and technological prowess saved lives that day." Zandri sat back, her compound eyes reflecting the soft light of the lab. "The humans never cease to amaze me, Zorax. Their loyalty, their ingenuity, and their unwavering commitment to their allies, it's truly inspiring." Zorax nodded, his expression thoughtful. "This incident further cemented the bond between our species, Zandri. It paved the way for even greater collaboration and trust, a partnership that would shape the future of our civilizations." Zandri's antennae twitched with anticipation. "And what came of this partnership, Zorax? What other marvels did our combined efforts yield?" Zorax's eyes glinted with admiration as he leaned forward, his voice taking on a reverent tone. "The humans' diplomatic prowess is truly remarkable, Zandri. Their ability to navigate even the most complex political landscapes and broker peace between bitter rivals is unparalleled." Zandri's antennae twitched with curiosity. "Tell me more about this incident with the Zephyrian Empire. How did Ambassador Sinclair manage to bridge such a deep divide?" Zorax settled back in his chair, his mandibles clicking thoughtfully. "It was a delicate situation, to be sure. The Ventaxian Confederation and the Zephyrian Empire had been locked in a bitter border dispute for decades, with tensions escalating to the brink of all-out war. I remember the reports of their fleets amassing along the contested border," Zandri mused. "It seemed as though conflict was inevitable." "Indeed," Zorax agreed. The Ventaxian leadership, fearing the devastation that a full-scale war would bring, turned to their human allies for assistance. They hoped that the Terran Expeditionary Force could help broker a peace deal and avert catastrophe. Zandri leaned forward, her compound eyes wide with interest. And that's when Ambassador Sinclair arrived on the scene. Zorax nodded. Yes, the TEF dispatched Sinclair, their most skilled diplomat, to mediate the negotiations. He arrived at the neutral meeting ground alongside a small delegation of human and Ventaxian diplomats, ready to begin the arduous process of finding common ground between the two parties. I can't imagine the Zephyrians were pleased to see a human mediator, Zandri remarked. You're right, Zorax confirmed. The Zephyrian delegation, led by Crown Prince Aldrich himself, was initially quite skeptical of Sinclair's presence. They viewed the humans as outsiders with no stake in the conflict and questioned their ability to understand the complex historical and cultural factors at play. Zandri's antennae quivered with anticipation. So how did Sinclair win them over? Zorax's eyes glinted with admiration. Sinclair quickly proved his worth by demonstrating a deep understanding of both Ventaxian and Zephyrian culture, history, and political motivations. He had clearly done his homework, and his knowledge and insight impressed even the most skeptical members of the Zephyrian delegation. Remarkable, Zandri breathed. And what happened next? Over the course of several weeks, Sinclair worked tirelessly to find common ground between the two parties, Zorax continued. He carefully navigated their complex web of grievances and demands, listening intently to both sides and proposing creative solutions and compromises that addressed their concerns while preserving their dignity and honor. Zandri's antennae twitched with fascination. It must have been a delicate balancing act. Indeed it was, Zorax agreed. But through his patient and persistent efforts, Sinclair managed to secure a comprehensive peace treaty that not only resolved the border dispute, but also established a framework for future cooperation and trade between the Ventaxian Confederation and the Zephyrian Empire. The Sinclair Accords, Zandri murmured, her voice filled with awe. I remember when the news broke. It was hailed as a triumph of diplomacy and a testament to the humans' ability to bridge even the most bitter divides. Zorax nodded, his expression thoughtful. The success of the Sinclair Accords elevated humanity's status on the galactic stage and opened doors for further diplomatic engagements with other civilizations. It showcased their soft power and their commitment to fostering peace and stability in the galaxy, even among races they had no prior history with. Zandri sat back, her compound eyes reflecting the soft light of the lab. The humans never ceased to amaze me, Zorax. Their ingenuity, their resourcefulness, and now their diplomatic prowess, it's truly awe-inspiring. Zorax's mandibles clicked in agreement. Indeed, Zandri, the humans have proven time and again that they are a force to be reckoned with, not just in terms of their technological and military might, but also in their ability to forge alliances and promote cooperation among the stars. Zandri leaned forward, her antennae quivering with anticipation. But tell me, Zorax, what other marvels did this partnership between our species yield? Surely the Sinclair Accords were just the beginning of an even greater era of collaboration and discovery. Dr. Zorax's mandibles clicked with excitement as he continued. The discovery of the Hoffman resonator was a defining moment in human Ventaxian scientific collaboration, Zandri. It showcased the humans' unparalleled ability to unravel the mysteries of the universe and push the boundaries of what we thought was possible. Zandri leaned forward, her compound eyes glinting with curiosity. Tell me more about this Dr. Hoffman and his team. How did they come to discover this remarkable technology? Zorax settled back in his chair, his voice taking on a reverent tone. It all began with a mysterious energy signal that Dr. Hoffman and his team had been studying. The signal, which pulsed at regular intervals, emanated from a distant, uncharted star system and defied all known natural explanations. Intriguing, Zandri murmured, her antennae twitching with interest. And what did they do next? Dr. Hoffman, driven by his insatiable curiosity, assembled a team of the brightest human scientists and enlisted the help of Captain Brown and the TEF to provide security and logistical support. Together, they set out to investigate the source of the signal. Zandri's antennae quivered with anticipation. And what did they find? Zorax's eyes gleamed as he continued. Upon arriving at the star system, the research team discovered an ancient, abandoned space station orbiting a strange, crystalline planet. The station, which appeared to be of alien origin, was the source of the energy signal. Remarkable, Zandri breathed, her compound eyes wide with wonder. And they boarded the station to study its technology. Indeed, Zorax confirmed, his mandibles clicking with admiration. Dr. Hoffman and his team, alongside a group of TEF engineers, led by Chief Engineer O'Neill, bravely ventured into the unknown. As they explored the station, they discovered a device capable of harnessing and amplifying the unique energy properties of the crystalline planet below, the Hoffman Resonator. Zandri's antennae twitched with excitement. A device with the potential to revolutionize energy production and propulsion technology across the galaxy. Truly incredible. No, indeed not, Zorax agreed, his mandibles clicking with pride. They worked tirelessly, drawing upon their vast knowledge of physics, engineering, and alien technology. For weeks, they pored over the device, cracking its code bit by bit. Zandri leaned forward, her antennae quivering with anticipation. And they succeeded. Zorax's eyes gleamed with triumph. After weeks of intense research and experimentation, they did it. They activated the Hoffman Resonator, creating a stable and controllable energy field that could be harnessed for a variety of applications. The implications must have been staggering, Zandri murmured, her voice filled with awe. They were, Zorax confirmed, his mandibles clicking with excitement. The discovery of the Hoffman Resonator sent shockwaves throughout the scientific community. Human and alien researchers alike marveled at the potential of this new technology. Zandri sat back, her compound eyes reflecting the soft light of the lab. Dr. Hoffman and his team must have been hailed as visionaries. Zorax nodded, his voice filled with respect. They were. Their work paved the way for a new era of scientific collaboration and innovation between humans and their alien allies. It demonstrated the humans' unparalleled curiosity, ingenuity, and determination in the face of the unknown. Zandri's antennae twitched with admiration, traits that would continue to shape the course of galactic history, no doubt. Zorax's eyes gleamed with agreement. Indeed, Zandri, the discovery of the Hoffman Resonator was just the beginning. As human and alien scientists worked together to unlock its secrets and potential applications, they found themselves on the cusp of a new age of scientific enlightenment. Zandri leaned forward, her compound eyes glinting with curiosity. And what came next, Zorax? How did this groundbreaking discovery change the face of energy production and propulsion technology as we know it? Dr. Zandri leaned forward, her compound eyes wide with fascination. The human's capacity for leadership and compassion is truly remarkable. Tell me more about this incident on Zephyr Prime. How did Captain Brown and his team manage to inspire hope in the face of such a devastating outbreak? Dr. Zorax's mandibles clicked thoughtfully as he recalled the details. When the distress call came in from the Ventaxian colony, the situation seemed dire. Hundreds had already perished, and the virus showed no signs of abating. The colonists were trapped, their resources dwindling and their spirits broken. Zandri's antennae twitched with concern. And yet Captain Brown volunteered to lead the relief mission? Zorax nodded, his eyes glinting with admiration. Without hesitation, he handpicked a team of the TF's finest medical experts, including Dr. Nakamura and Dr. Zara, a brilliant Ventaxian virologist. They knew the risks, but their determination to help was unwavering. What did they find when they arrived on Zephyr Prime? Chaos and despair, Zorax said grimly. The virus had spread like wildfire, overwhelming the colony's medical facilities. The streets were empty, save for the occasional glimpse of a hazmat-suited figure. The air was thick with fear and hopelessness. Zandri shuddered, her exoskeleton rippling. How did Captain Brown even begin to address such a crisis? Zorax's mandibles quirked in a smile. By refusing to give up, He gathered the surviving colonists and his own team and spoke to them with a passion and sincerity that cut through their despair. He promised them that they would find a way to beat this virus, that they would not let it claim one more life. "Inspiring words," Zandri murmured, but surely it took more than speeches to turn the tide. "Indeed," Zorax agreed. Captain Brown rolled up his sleeves and got to work. He coordinated with Dr. Nakamura, Dr. Zara, and the colony's remaining medical staff to establish a makeshift treatment center. They triaged the sick, distributed what supplies they had, and worked around the clock to care for the afflicted. Zandri's antennae quivered with admiration, a daunting task, even with their medical expertise. Zorax nodded, but Captain Brown's leadership extended beyond the medical efforts. He organized teams to maintain the colony's critical infrastructure, power, water, food production. He knew that to keep hope alive, they needed to keep the colony functioning. Dr. Nakamura and Dr. Zara worked tirelessly, studying the virus, testing potential treatments. It was grueling, frustrating work, but they persevered. And then, after weeks of toil, they had a breakthrough. Zandri leaned forward, her compound eyes bright. "They found a cure?" "Our targeted antiviral treatment," Zorax confirmed. "They synthesized it as quickly as they could and began administering it to the sick. Slowly, miraculously, it began to work. The number of new infections dwindled, and those already afflicted started to recover." "Incredible," Zandri whispered. "And Captain Brown and his team stayed to oversee the colony's recovery." "For months," Zorax said, his voice warm with pride. "They helped rebuild, restore, and rejuvenate. By the time they left, Zephyr Prime was transformed. What had been a place of death and despair was now a thriving, hopeful community once more." Zandri sat back, her exoskeleton shimmering thoughtfully. "The humans have a saying, I believe. The night is darkest just before the dawn. Captain Brown and his team were the dawn that Zephyr Prime needed." Zorax nodded, his eyes distant, and their light spread far beyond that one colony. The story of their compassion and perseverance inspired the entire Ventaxian Confederation. It showed us that with the humans as our allies, there was no challenge we could not overcome. Zandri's antennae twitched with curiosity. But surely, even after such a triumph, the humans faced new challenges, new trials that tested their resolve. Zorax's mandibles clicked in a knowing smile. Oh, indeed they did. In fact, not long after the Zephyr Prime incident, a new threat emerged that would push the humans and their allies to their very limits. Dr. Zandri leaned back, her compound eyes shimmering with intrigue. The humans seem to have a knack for finding innovative solutions to complex problems. Have there been any other instances where their unique perspective has helped to resolve seemingly intractable conflicts? Dr. Zorax paused for a moment, his mandibles twitching thoughtfully. As a matter of fact, there was an incident that took place 5 years after the Zephyr Prime mission. It involved a dispute between two member races of the Galactic Council, the Etherians and the Zolnans. "The Galactic Council?" Zandri asked, her antennae perking up with interest. "Isn't that the governing body comprised of representatives from various alien civilizations?" Zorax nodded. "Indeed. The Council had been grappling with a complex legal dispute between the Etherians and the Zolnans over the ownership of a resource-rich asteroid belt that straddled the border between their respective territories. Both races claimed historical and legal rights to the asteroids, and the conflict had escalated to the point where armed skirmishes had broken out between their forces. Zandri leaned forward, her exoskeleton glinting in the soft light of the lab. How did the Council attempt to resolve the dispute? "They tried for months to mediate the conflict," Zorax explained, but the Etherians and Zolnans remained intransigent, each refusing to budge from their position. The Council was at an impasse, and many feared that the conflict would escalate into a full-scale war. "And that's when the humans got involved?" Zandri asked, her compound eyes widening with anticipation. Zorax's mandibles clicked in affirmation. "Precisely. It was at this point that the human representative to the Galactic Council, a skilled diplomat named Marcus Avery, proposed a novel solution. Drawing upon the human concept of joint ventures, Avery suggested, that the Etherians and Zolnans form a shared mining operation to extract the resources from the asteroid belt, with the profits being split evenly between the two races. Zandri tilted her head, her antennae twitching with curiosity. A shared mining operation, how would that work? Under Avery's proposed arrangement, Zorax continued, both races would have equal access to the resources and would be incentivized to work together rather than against each other. Initially, the Etherians and Zolnans were skeptical of the proposal, viewing it as a compromise that would require them to give up their exclusive claims to the asteroids. I can imagine they would be reluctant to agree to such a proposal, Zandri mused. Zorax nodded. Indeed. However, Avery worked tirelessly to convince them of the benefits of cooperation, highlighting the potential for increased efficiency, reduced costs, and the opportunity to build a more stable and profitable long-term partnership. Zandri leaned back, her exoskeleton shimmering with admiration. And did his efforts pay off? After weeks of intense negotiations, Zorax said, his voice tinged with respect, the Etherians and Zolnans agreed to Avery's proposal. They formed a joint mining corporation, with equal representation from both races on the board of directors. The corporation quickly proved to be a success, with the combined expertise and resources of the two races leading to a significant increase in productivity and profitability. Zandri's antennae quivered with excitement. That's remarkable. And what about the relations between the Etherians and the Zolnans? Did the joint venture help to ease the tensions between them? Dr. Zorax paused, his eyes distant as he recalled the harrowing tale of Admiral Calix's madness and the humans' heroic intervention. Dr. Zandri leaned forward, her compound eyes shimmering with anticipation. Tell me more, Dr. Zorax. How did Captain Brown and his team manage to infiltrate Calix's stronghold? It was a feat of unparalleled skill and daring, Dr. Zorax said, his voice hushed with reverence. Using their advanced stealth technology, Brown and his operatives slipped past Calix's defenses like ghosts. They moved through the shadows, avoiding detection by the Admiral's elite guards. Zandri's antennae quivered, and once they were inside, they split up, each taking on a critical role. Sarah Nakamura, the expert infiltrator, led the way, neutralizing any opposition with swift, silent precision. Captain Brown followed close behind, his presence a beacon of courage and determination. Dr. Zorax's mandibles clicked with admiration. O'Neill was the key to their success. While Brown and Nakamura engaged Calix's guards, he worked tirelessly to breach the Doomsday weapons control systems. It was a race against time, a battle of wits and skill. Zandri leaned back, her exoskeleton shimmering. And the confrontation with Calix himself? A clash of titans, Dr. Zorax said, his voice low. Brown and Calix, two warriors at the peak of their abilities, locked in a desperate struggle. They traded blows, each seeking to overpower the other, while Nakamura fought to keep the Admiral's guards at bay. It must have been a sight to behold, Zandri murmured. Indeed. But even as they fought, O'Neill was hacking deeper into the weapon systems, his fingers flying across the console. He worked with relentless focus, his mind consumed by the task at hand. Zandri's antennae twitched with anticipation, and then, in a moment of triumph, O'Neill finally breached the weapon's defenses. With a final keystroke, he initiated the shutdown sequence, rendering Calix's Doomsday device inert. At the same instant, Captain Brown landed a devastating blow, sending the mad Admiral crumpling to the floor, defeated. Incredible, Zandri breathed. The humans had done it. They had saved the galaxy from the brink of annihilation. Dr. Zorax nodded, his eyes gleaming with pride. And in doing so, they had proven once again the depths of their courage, their skill, and their unwavering commitment to the greater good. The galaxy would forever be in their debt. Dr. Zandri's antennae quivered as she absorbed the weight of Dr. Zorax's words. The Voidbringers, she whispered, her voice tinged with a mixture of awe and horror. I remember when they first appeared on the galactic stage. The reports were difficult to believe. Dr. Zorax nodded grimly, his eyes distant as he recalled the events of that fateful time. "They were unlike anything we had ever encountered before," he said, his voice low and somber. "Their technology, their very existence, defied all known laws of physics. They were more than just a threat to our civilizations. They were a threat to the very fabric of reality itself." "And yet the humans stood against them," Dr. Zandri said, her compound eyes glinting with admiration. "Even in the face of such an incomprehensible foe, they refused to surrender." Dr. Zorax's mandibles clicked in agreement. "They did more than that," he said, his voice filled with a deep respect. "They rallied the remaining free species of the galaxy, forging an alliance that had never been seen before. Under the leadership of Captain Brown and the TEF, they fought the Voidbringers across a dozen star systems, using every weapon and tactic at their disposal." Dr. Zandri leaned forward, her exoskeleton shimmering in the dim light of the lab. "I heard stories of their battles," she said, her voice hushed with reverence. "The humans and their allies, standing shoulder to shoulder against the Voidbringer hordes, the brilliant strategies of Captain Brown, the incredible technologies developed by the TEF scientists." Dr. Zorax's eyes closed, as if the memories were too painful to bear. "They fought with a courage and determination that was truly awe-inspiring," he said, his voice barely above a whisper. "But in the end, even their greatest efforts were not enough. The Voidbringers were simply too powerful, too far beyond our comprehension." Dr. Zandri's antennae drooped, a gesture of profound sadness. "And so the humans made the ultimate sacrifice," she said, her voice trembling with emotion. "They used that ancient, hyper-advanced technology to create a singularity that consumed the entire galaxy." Dr. Zorax nodded, his eyes still closed. "They knew it was the only way to stop the Voidbringers," he said, his voice heavy with grief. "They knew that they were dooming themselves, and everything they had ever known, to oblivion. But they did it anyway, because it was the only way to save the rest of the universe from the Voidbringers' hunger." Dr. Zorax opened his eyes, fixing Dr. Zandri with a gaze that was filled with a profound sense of purpose. "We must never forget what they did for us," he said, his voice firm and resolute. "We must carry their memory with us, wherever we go, and ensure that their sacrifice was not in vain. We must find a way to rebuild, to create a new future for ourselves and for the universe, one that honors the legacy of the humans and all that they fought for." You have reached the end of the story. If you enjoyed this story and want to support us, please leave a like and subscribe to our channel, and for every comment that says 88, I will heart every single one of them. Thank you for your time.